Captain Hannah Park's reflection stared back at her from the viewport glass. Behind her image, stars stretched into bright lines as the Vengeance moved through space faster than light. The massive warship hummed with power. It was the flagship of the human fleet, built for one purpose that had waited 3,000 years. Hannah touched the glass. Her dark eyes narrowed as she thought about their mission. The weight of billions of dead ancestors rested on her shoulders. Every human child learned about Earth, their lost homeworld, from birth. Though none living had ever seen its blue oceans or green forests, the pain of its loss remained fresh. 3,000 years, she whispered. Today we return. The door to the bridge slid open with a soft hiss. Lieutenant Jin Kim entered, his uniform crisp and his posture perfect. He carried himself with the discipline of a man who understood his place in history. "Captain, we're approaching the Corvin system," Jin reported. His voice remained steady despite the weight of their mission. "All ships report ready." Hannah nodded and turned from the stars. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. The air felt heavy with purpose. "Show me," she ordered. The center of the bridge lit up as a holographic display activated. It showed an old recording, one preserved and copied countless times over the millennia. The footage began with a blue-green planet, Earth as it once was. Then came the Corvin warships, hundreds of them, surrounding the planet. There was no warning, no declaration of war. The Corvins simply opened fire, bombarding Earth until its surface glowed red with molten rock. Jin stood rigidly beside his captain as they watched. Though he had seen this recording many times before, his jaw still tightened in anger. "Play the message," Hannah said. A six-limbed alien appeared in the hologram. Its scaled skin shimmered with an oily rainbow sheen, and its four eyes blinked independently of each other. When it spoke, its voice was translated into flat, emotionless English. "The human species represents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability," the Corvin stated. "Their aggressive nature and rapid technological advancement cannot be allowed to spread beyond their home system. This necessary action ensures the safety of all civilized worlds." The recording ended. The bridge remained silent. Hannah walked to her command chair and sat down. Her fingers traced the worn armrests where countless captains before her had sat, each one training and preparing for this moment. "They thought they killed us all," she said. 12 colony ships escaped, 12 ships carrying less than 20,000 humans. Jin nodded. The greatest miscalculation in history. The first generations of survivors had lived in constant fear of discovery. They scattered across uninhabited star systems, breaking all contact with each other. Each colony developed in isolation, focusing on survival and advancement. They built hidden cities on distant worlds. They mastered technologies the Corvins couldn't imagine. Most importantly, they remembered. "Tactical display," Hannah ordered. The hologram shifted to show their fleet, 50 warships surrounding the Vengeance. Each represented one of the human colonies that had grown from those original 12 ships. 3,000 years of separate development had created different cultures, different traditions, even slightly different languages, but they shared one thing: the memory of Earth and the promise of return. "Communication from the horizon," said the officer at the communication station. The hologram changed to show Captain Minho Lee of the warship Horizon. His colony had developed on an ice world, and their technology specialized in energy manipulation. "Captain Park," Minho greeted her. 3,000 years of waiting ends today. The Sunrise Colony stands ready." One by one, the other captains reported in. The Phoenix Colony, the New Terra Colony, the Starbound Colony. Each had specialized in different technologies. Some had mastered biology and could regrow limbs or extend human lifespans. Others had developed physics-defying propulsion systems. Still others had created weapons that could destroy solar systems. Now they had united, sharing their advancements to create a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "The Corvins have grown weak," said Jin, reviewing intelligence reports collected by human spies. Their empire expanded too quickly. They're facing rebellions on 12 worlds. They've become the very thing they accused us of being, Hannah said. Aggressive, unstable. A young ensign approached with a datapad. Captain, we've received the final historical verification. Hannah took the pad and reviewed it carefully. Humanity had worked hard to preserve true history, knowing that over thousands of years, facts could be twisted into legend. Every generation had sworn to remember Earth as it truly was, not as a myth or fantasy. The facts remain clear, she said. Earth was destroyed without provocation. The Corvins claimed they acted to prevent humans from becoming a threat, but we had never attacked any alien world. We were still new to space travel. Jin nodded gravely. They destroyed us because of what we might become. And in doing so, they guaranteed it, Hannah said. She stood and faced her bridge crew. The Corvins thought they eliminated a threat. Instead, they created one. She touched a button on her chair, opening a channel to the entire fleet. This is Captain Hannah Park of the Vengeance. For 3,000 years, humanity has remembered Earth. For 3,000 years, we have prepared for this day. We come not just as Avengers, but as judges. The Corvins pronounced sentence on our species without trial. Today, we return to deliver true justice. The Vengeance dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The Corvin homeworld appeared on their screens, a lush green planet wrapped in wispy white clouds. All ships, take formation, Hannah ordered. Begin broadcasting on all frequencies. Across the Corvin planet, communication devices activated on their own. Screens display the image of a human woman in a captain's uniform, standing before the flag of a world that had been destroyed 3 millennia ago. People of Corva, Hannah announced. Humanity has returned. The great hall of the Corvin High Council gleamed under golden light. Massive columns rose to a domed ceiling painted with scenes of Corvin military victories. Tall windows showed the capital city spreading below the government hill, a sprawling metropolis of curved towers and hanging gardens. 50 council members sat in tiered seats forming a half-circle. They wore ceremonial robes with colors showing their political factions. Guards stood at attention around the room, their energy weapons held across their chests. None of them expected what would happen next. The main doors slid open. A group of humans walked in. Captain Hannah Park led the way, her uniform perfectly pressed, her back straight. 6 human officers followed her in perfect formation. Their boots clicked on the polished stone floor. The sound echoed in the sudden silence that fell over the room. Supreme Leader Tejo rose from his central seat. His iridescent scales shimmered with blue and green as blood rushed to his face in surprise. His 6 limbs, 2 legs, 2 primary arms, and 2 smaller manipulator arms, went rigid with shock. "How did you get past security?" he demanded. Then his 4 eyes widened as he realized the bigger question. "What are you?" Hannah stopped in the center of the room. She looked small compared to the tall Corvins, but she showed no fear. "You know exactly what we are," she said. Counselor Yuna leaned forward, her scales flashing yellow with alarm. "Impossible. You look like, but it cannot be." "Humans," whispered Supreme Leader Tejo. "Your species was eliminated." The council erupted in whispers. Some members stood up. Others reached for communication devices. The guards tightened their grips on their weapons, but looked to their leaders for orders. "You failed," Hannah replied simply. She reached to her wrist and activated a small device. "And we've been watching you for centuries." A hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed faces, hundreds, then thousands of human faces. Below each face was a name and position. Dr. Ju at Central Medical, Professor Seojin at the Science Academy, Merchant Mina from the Eastern Trade Guild. "What is this?" demanded Counselor Bomi, rising to her feet. "Your neighbors," said Hannah. "Your doctors, your teachers, your advisors." The hologram expanded, showing more faces. The council members began to recognize people they knew personally. "That's my chief researcher," gasped Counselor Hyun, pointing at one image. "And my son's tutor," said another council member. The hologram zoomed in on one face, Advisor Juho, who had served on the High Council for 20 years. His image transformed, showing that the slight differences in his appearance had been cosmetic alterations. Underneath, he was fully human. "Impossible," Taiho repeated, but his voice had lost its certainty. Hana stepped forward. "I am Captain Hana Park of the United Human Fleet. We come with a simple demand. Surrender those responsible for Earth's destruction, or face judgment from those you failed to exterminate." Security alarms began to blare. Red lights flashed across the chamber's ceiling. Guards raised their weapons, but seemed unsure where to aim them. "This is absurd," said Counselor Yuna, her scales now flashing between yellow and red. "Earth was destroyed 3,000 years ago. Everyone responsible is dead. Then surrender your historical records," Hana said, "and those who continued the policy of hunting human survivors." Taiho's secondary arms made a dismissive gesture. "There were no human survivors." "Then who are we?" asked Lieutenant Jin Kim, stepping forward beside his captain. Outside the tall windows, darkness fell suddenly over the city. The council members turned to look. The massive form of the Vengeance had moved into low orbit, blocking the sun. Its shadow covered the capital city completely. Even from the ground, they could see weapon ports opening along its hull. "This is an act of war," said Taiho, but fear had entered his voice. "No," Hana replied. "The act of war was committed 3,000 years ago, when your people destroyed a world without provocation." Counselor Doyen, older than the others, slumped in his seat. "She's right," he said quietly. "Our histories say we eliminated the humans because they were dangerous, aggressive. But I've studied the complete records. Earth never attacked anyone. We struck first." "Silence, Doyen," Taiho ordered. "They deserve to know why their world might end today." Doyen continued, ignoring his leader. "Our ancestors feared human potential. They saw how quickly humans advanced and decided to eliminate them before they could become a threat." Young Counselor Shunho stood up. "Is this true? Did we destroy a world based on what they might do in the future?" "It was necessary," insisted Taiho. "The projections showed humans would dominate the galaxy within 1,000 years. And what have the Corvins done in that time?" asked Hana quietly. "How many worlds have you conquered? How many species have you subjugated?" The council chamber fell silent as her words sank in. Many members looked uncomfortable. "We built an empire of order and peace," Taiho said, but his voice lacked conviction. Hana touched her communication device. "Captain, show them what we've learned." New images appeared in the hologram. Planets stripped of resources, indigenous species forced into labor, rebellions crushed with overwhelming force. "We have been watching," Hana said. "For centuries, humans have lived among you, documenting everything. We know what the Corvin Empire has become." Outside, more human ships appeared in the sky. 50 warships formed a ring around the planet. On the streets, thousands of humans revealed themselves, removing disguises they had worn for years. "This is impossible," whispered Taiho. "Our security has been compromised for generations." Hana finished for him. "The human you knew as Advisor Juho redesigned your planetary defense grid 30 years ago. It has backdoors built into every system." As if to prove her point, the chamber's security doors all slid open at once. The guards' weapons powered down automatically. "You have 1 hour to decide," Hana said. "Surrender those who continued the policy of human extermination, or face judgment." Counselor Junho stepped forward. "Captain Park, I was born only 50 years ago. Many of us had nothing to do with the policies you describe." "We know," said Hana. "We don't seek to destroy innocent lives. That's what separates us from those who destroyed Earth." The Supreme Leader sank back into his seat, his scales now a dull gray of defeat. "What happens after we surrender these people?" asked Counselor Doyen. Hana looked around the room, meeting the four-eyed gazes of the council members one by one. "Justice," she said simply. And then, perhaps, peace. But first, we must have truth. The Vengeance's shadow continued to darken the city as the council chamber erupted into chaos. Doyen moved through the dark underground tunnels beneath the capital city. His iridescent scales were dulled with special paint to avoid reflecting light. He carried a small pack containing data crystals, information that could change everything. Behind him walked 5 other Corvins, members of his resistance cell. "Careful at the junction ahead," he whispered. "Security drones patrol every 20 minutes." The group paused at a crossing of tunnels. These ancient pathways had been built thousands of years ago as emergency routes. The government had forgotten them, but the resistance had mapped every inch. A soft blue light appeared at the end of the tunnel. The Corvins pressed themselves against the walls, holding their breath. A security drone floated past, its scanner sweeping the area. After it disappeared, they continued forward. "We're close," Doyen said. They reached a hidden door set into the wall. Doyen pressed his hand against it, and it recognized his unique scale pattern. The door slid open, revealing a large underground room filled with communication equipment and people of different species. In the center of the room stood Minji, an Eldari. Her silver skin shimmered slightly, and the feathery crest on her head raised in greeting. As a Neldari, she looked almost like a tall, slender human except for her silver complexion and a crest that changed colors with her emotions. "Did you see them?" she asked eagerly. "The human ships." "Everyone has seen them," Doyen replied. "They're not hiding. Their main vessel blocks the sun over the capital for 2 hours each day." The room fell silent. For decades, the resistance had worked in secret, gathering evidence of Corvin crimes and helping subjugated species. But everything had changed 1 week ago when the human fleet arrived. "The humans have returned," whispered Doyen, still hardly believing it himself. "This changes everything." Minji nodded, her crest turning a deep blue of seriousness. Her species' telepathic abilities had made them valuable allies to the scattered humans centuries ago. The Neldari had helped the earliest human survivors hide from Corvin hunters. "Your government fears what happens next," Minji said. "The records we've uncovered show why they destroyed Earth. They foresaw humans eventually surpassing all other species technologically." She activated a holographic display. Ancient Corvin military reports appeared, showing projections of human development. The Corvins had calculated that within 500 years, humans would have surpassed them. Within 1,000 years, humans would have dominated the galaxy. "So they destroyed an entire world based on predictions?" asked a young Corvin named Jae. She had joined the resistance only a year ago after discovering her family's company had enslaved Neldari workers. "Fear makes people capable of terrible things," Doyen said. "The supreme leaders have always taught us that Earth was destroyed because humans were aggressive, that they attacked Corvin colonies first." "Lies," said Minji. "Humans had barely reached their own moon when the Corvins first observed them." Doyen placed the data crystals on the table. "We need to spread this information. The people must know the truth." High above them, aboard the Vengeance, Captain Hannah Park sat at a large round table. Around her sat representatives from 12 different species, each from worlds conquered by the Corvin Empire over the centuries. The Neldari ambassador, an elderly female named Suk, spoke first. "Captain Park, your return is the moment we have waited for. The Corvins have ruled this sector for millennia." An Axolian delegate, a squid-like being who floated in a water tank, flashed colors in agreement. "They take our resources and restrict our technological development," the translator conveyed. One by one, each representative described how the Corvins had stunted their civilizations. Some were not allowed to develop space travel. Others had their scientific research controlled. All paid heavy taxes to the Empire. Hannah listened carefully. "The Corvins didn't just harm humanity," she said when they had finished. "They'd been stunting the development of all intelligent life in this sector. Today, that changes." Lieutenant Jin Kim entered the conference room. Captain, we've received a transmission from the Resistance on the surface. They're ready to move forward with the information release. Hana nodded. Tell them to proceed. Back on the planet, Doyen's team worked quickly. They had infiltrated the central communication hub of the capital city. While 2 Resistance members kept watch, the others connected their devices to the main system. How much time do we have? Asked Jahi, nervously watching the door. 5 minutes before the security system resets, replied Doyen, his fingers moving rapidly over the control panel. Minji placed a data crystal into the system. This contains all the historical records proving the truth about Earth, plus evidence of continued Corvin suppression of other species. With a final command, Doyen activated the program. It's done. The information will broadcast to every communication device in the Empire. Across the Corvin homeworld and its colonies, screens lit up with unexpected broadcasts. Citizens saw the true historical records about Earth's destruction. They learned how their government had feared human potential so much that they destroyed an entire civilization. They saw evidence of how the Corvin government had suppressed technological development of other species for thousands of years. In the streets of the capital, crowds gathered. Some Corvins reacted with disbelief, others with anger. Arguments broke out between citizens and government supporters. On a massive screen in the central plaza, Doyen's face appeared. He had removed his scale-dulling paint, revealing his identity to everyone. Fellow Corvins, he said, I am Counselor Doyen. For 20 years I have served on the High Council. For 10 years I have worked with the Resistance. What you have seen today is the truth our government has hidden for 3,000 years. People stopped to listen. Government security forces pushed through the crowds, trying to shut down the broadcast. Our ancestors committed an unforgivable crime, Doyen continued, and our current leaders continue that legacy by suppressing other species. Today, humans have returned, not as conquerors but seeking justice. We must acknowledge our past if we hope to have a future. The broadcast cut off as security forces reached the transmission equipment, but it was too late. The information had spread to every corner of the Empire. In orbit, Hana received reports from the surface. Protests had erupted in 12 major cities. 3 regional governors had already announced they would no longer follow the Supreme Leader's orders. It's beginning, said Ambassador Suk. The Empire is fracturing. Hana looked at the planet below. We didn't come to start a civil war. You didn't need to, said the Exolian delegate. The Corvin Empire has been built on lies for millennia. Your arrival was simply the crack that shattered the foundation. Lieutenant Jin approached again. Captain, we're receiving a message from Supreme Leader Tayo. He's requesting another meeting. Hana studied the planet turning slowly below. Tell him I'll meet him tomorrow. Today, let him watch as his people learn the truth. In the underground hideout, Doyen returned to cheers from the Resistance members. The mission had succeeded, though he knew government forces would be hunting them now. What happens next? Asked Jahi. Minji's crest turned green with hope. Next, we build something better. The command center of the Vengeance hummed with tense energy. Officers moved between stations with purpose, monitoring the situation on the planet below. At the central table, raised voices echoed off the metal walls. We have the power to do to them exactly what they did to Earth, argued Commander Sunwoo, his fist pounding the conference table. His face had reddened with emotion, and the veins in his neck stood out. It's justice. Several officers nodded in agreement. They had all grown up with stories of Earth, a paradise lost before any of them were born. Our weapons can target their major cities, said Weapons Officer Mendo. We could reduce their capital to ash in minutes. He displayed a simulation on the table's holographic projector, showing the destruction pattern of their most powerful weapons. Captain Hana Park stood silently at the head of the table. Her dark eyes studied the tactical display showing Corva Prime rotating slowly below them, a world of billions, most of whom had no part in Earth's destruction. Look at their population centers. Sunwoo continued, pointing at the glowing clusters on the planet. 8 billion Corvins who sleep peacefully each night, while our ancestors have known nothing but exile for 3,000 years. Lieutenant Jin Kim stood beside Hana, his expression carefully neutral. The targeting systems are ready, Captain. We await your command. The room fell silent. Everyone looked at Hana, waiting for her decision. She leaned forward, her hands flat on the table. If we destroy their world, we prove them right about us, she countered, her voice quiet but firm. We become what they feared. Sun Wu shook his head. They didn't fear us, Captain. They feared what we might become. There's a difference. And what have we become? Hana asked, looking around the room. Are we planet killers now? Is that humanity's legacy? Before anyone could answer, the door to the command center slid open. Lieutenant Soman entered, escorting a young Corvin male. The room tensed immediately. Several officers reached for their weapons. Captain, Soman said formally, this is Shunho from the Corvin High Council. He requested to speak with you directly. He was raised by human infiltrators. The young Corvin stepped forward. Unlike most of his kind, his movements seemed almost human. He carried a small metal box. Captain Park, he said, bowing slightly in the human manner. Thank you for seeing me. Hana gestured for him to approach the table. Sun Wu moved aside reluctantly, his hand staying close to his weapon. Why are you here? Hana asked directly. Shunho placed the metal box on the table. I bring information I believe you should have before you make your final decision about our world. He opened the box, revealing several crystal data storage devices that glowed with a soft blue light. My ancestors participated in Earth's destruction, Shunho admitted, his 4 eyes downcast. My great-grandfather commanded one of the destroyer vessels. Sun Wu took a step forward, his face darkening with anger, but Hana raised her hand to stop him. Continue, she said to Shunho. My great-grandfather left these records for his family, Shunho said. But these records show something unexpected. After the attack, many Corvins recognized their mistake. He activated one of the crystals, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed historical records, personal journals, and artistic works from the centuries following Earth's destruction. What am I looking at? Hana asked. Evidence that Earth never truly died, Shunho said. Our art, philosophy, even our governance has been shaped by smuggled human ideas. Your culture survived here, hidden within ours. The hologram showed Corvin architecture that had gradually incorporated human design elements. It displayed philosophical texts that echoed human concepts of freedom and individual rights. It revealed music that followed human harmonics. After Earth's destruction, many Corvins felt deep shame, Shunho explained. A secret movement began. Those who had contact with humans before the destruction began preserving human knowledge and spreading it quietly. Lieutenant Jin studied the data carefully. This appears authentic, Captain. The supreme leaders have always tried to suppress these influences, Shunho continued. But they could not stop them completely. Human ideas were too compelling, too right. Hana walked slowly around the table, examining the holographic displays from different angles. How many Corvins know this history? More than the government realizes, Shunho replied. My parents were human infiltrators who adopted me. They taught me the truth. There are millions like me who know that our official history is false. Commander Sun was scoffed. This changes nothing. They still destroy our homeworld. Yes, agreed Shunho, surprising everyone. And nothing can erase that crime. I do not ask for forgiveness. I only ask that you know the complete truth before you decide our fate. As they processed this revelation, a piercing alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Officers rushed to their stations. Captain, called the communications officer. We're receiving multiple emergency signals from the surface. Military forces are moving against the civilian government. The tactical display updated, showing troop movements in the Corvin capital. Government buildings were surrounded by military vehicles. It's a coup, Jin said, studying the data. Military hardliners have launched an attack against those advocating peace with humans. A new communication came through. Counselor Doyen's face appeared on the main screen, his scales pale with stress. Captain Park. Military forces led by General Inho have taken control of the Defense Ministry. They've arrested the Supreme Leader and anyone supporting negotiations with humans. Hannah's expression hardened. What are their intentions? They're activating planetary defense systems, Doyen said urgently. Inho claims humans must be eliminated once and for all. He's ordered attacks on all known human sympathizers. The transmission suddenly cut off. The tactical display showed energy weapons firing in the capital city. Multiple orbital defense platforms powering up, reported Lieutenant Soman from the tactical station. They're targeting our fleet. Sun Wu turned to Hana, his expression grim. It seems they've made the decision for us, Captain. Chunho stepped forward. Captain Park, please. Those are military targets. Billions of civilians don't support this action. The same could have been said about Earth, Sun Wu countered. Hana stood silently for a moment, her eyes fixed on the planet below. The weight of 3,000 years of human exile, and the future of two species, rested on her next command. Tactical, target their military installations only, she finally ordered. Communications, broadcast on all frequencies. Tell the Corvin people to evacuate military districts immediately. Captain, Sun Wu questioned, surprised. Hana looked at him steadily. We came for justice, Commander, not revenge. She turned to Chunho. Your people once destroyed a world because they feared what humans might become. Today, we show them exactly what we have become. She faced the tactical display, her voice firm. And it is not what they feared. The Vengeance moved into attack position as the first Corvin defense platforms opened fire. The sky above Corva Prime filled with light as the first shots were fired. General Inho's forces had activated the orbital defense platforms, ancient weapons built after Earth's destruction. Energy beams lanced upward from the planet's surface, targeting the human fleet. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Hana ordered from the Vengeance's command center. Hold fire until my command. The human vessels moved with impossible speed, dodging energy blasts that would have destroyed lesser ships. 3,000 years of hidden technological development had created vessels unlike anything the Corvins had imagined. Below, General Inho watched from his command bunker as his first attack missed every target. Impossible, he muttered, his scales turning pale blue with fear. Fire all weapons. More defense platforms activated. Corvin warships rose from hidden bases beneath the planet's oceans. For centuries, the Corvin military had prepared for this moment, the return of humanity. But they had prepared to fight the humans of 3,000 years ago, not what they had become. The Vengeance moved into position as Corvin warships rose to challenge it. The battle was swift and decisive. 3 millennia of human innovation against an empire grown complacent. Target their propulsion systems only, Hana commanded. Disable, don't destroy. Human weapons fired with surgical precision. Corvin warships lost power and drifted helplessly in orbit. Defense platforms went dark as targeted electromagnetic pulses shut down their systems without destroying them. General Inho's command bunker shook as precision strikes hit the military base above. We need to launch our planet killers, he shouted to his officers. It's our only chance. A young officer named Maru looked at his general with horror. Sir, those weapons would kill millions of our own people. Better that than allowing humans to survive, Inho responded, reaching for the launch controls. Before he could activate them, the bunker's lights went out. Emergency systems failed. The air grew still as ventilation stopped. On the surface, billions of Corvins watched their skies with fear. Many expected death to rain down from above, just as their ancestors had once rained death upon Earth. The government broadcasts had gone silent. Military communications were dead. Then, every communication device on the planet activated at once. Captain Hana Park's face appeared on screens across the world. "People of Corva," she said, her voice calm and clear. "Your military forces have been disabled. Your weapons have been neutralized. We could destroy your world as you once destroyed ours." She paused, letting the fear sink in. "But we will not. Instead of planetary bombardment, I have ordered precision strikes against military installations only. When the firing stops, your military will be crippled, but civilian areas will remain untouched." Across the planet, Corvans looked up as human ships descended through the atmosphere. They were not attack vessels but transports, landing in city centers. From them emerged humans and their allies, Neldari, Axolians, and others who had been subjugated by the Corvan Empire. "We are not destroyers of worlds," Hana announced to the planet below. "We are the children of Earth, and we choose a different path." In the capital city, Councillor Doyen and the resistance emerged from hiding. They met the human landing parties and together marched toward the government buildings. There was no resistance. The military coup had failed as quickly as it had begun. General Inho was found in his bunker, arrested by his own officers who had chosen to side with the people. The supreme leader, who had been held prisoner during the coup, was freed but stepped down from power immediately. "The age of Corvan supremacy is over," he announced. "We must face our past and build a different future." 1 year later, Hana stood in the New Earth Memorial at the heart of the former Corvan capital. A sphere of blue marble housed artifacts salvaged from human colonies. Books, music, art, all that remained of humanity's birthplace. Light filtered through water that flowed over the dome's exterior, casting rippling patterns that mimicked Earth's oceans. The memorial had been built by Corvan hands as an act of atonement. Thousands of workers had volunteered, many spending months learning about the world their ancestors had destroyed so they could honor it properly. Supreme Leader Shunho, who had risen to power after the coup leaders were removed, stood beside her. Though young for a Corvan leader, his wisdom had united the fractured empire during the difficult transition. "For 3,000 years, we feared your return," he said, his 4 eyes looking at the Earth artifacts with respect. "We never imagined it would bring peace." Around them, humans and Corvans moved together through the memorial. Former enemies now worked side by side. The 12 human colonies had established embassies on Corva Prime. Trade routes had opened. Cultural exchanges had begun. "What surprises me most," continued Juno, "is how quickly our people have accepted change. Generations of propaganda taught us to fear humans, yet now many Corvans welcome them. Perhaps because deep down, your people always knew the truth," Hana suggested. "The human ideas that influenced your culture prepared the way." They walked to the center of the memorial where a holographic display showed Earth as it once was. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown landmasses. It rotated slowly, a ghost of a world that lived on only in memory. Hana looked up at the memorial's ceiling, where stars were arranged to show Earth's night sky as it once was. Constellations humans had named millennia ago, Orion, Ursa Major, Cassiopeia, sparkled above them. Earth wasn't just a planet. It was a promise that humanity would endure, she said. Today, that promise includes all who choose to move forward together. A young lieutenant approached them, waiting respectfully until Hana acknowledged him. "Captain, we've received word from the terraforming fleet," he reported. "The atmosphere processors are fully operational." Hana nodded. As she left the memorial with Juno, she studied the report. Terraforming had begun on a new planet in a star system halfway between Corvan space and the closest human colony. The world had been chosen for its similarity to both Earth and Corva Prime. It would take decades to complete, but when finished, it would be a world where both species could live together. The coordinates had already been registered in all galactic charts under a simple name: Hope. Outside the memorial, Hana paused to look back at the building. 3,000 years ago, humanity had faced extinction. They had survived through determination, ingenuity, and ultimately, mercy. "Captain," asked Huno curiously, "if you could speak to your ancestors now, what would you tell them?" Hana thought for a moment, looking up at the sky where the stars were just becoming visible as dusk fell. "I would tell them that Earth lives on," she said simply. "Not as a place, but as an idea worth crossing the stars for." Above them, a ship departed for the Hope system, carrying the first joint human-Corvan colonization team. Their mission was not revenge or conquest, but creation. The legacy of Earth had come full circle.